Hello friend and welcome to Borgcast Original Series 3.5 with Peter and Anne-Marie.
Yeah.
Who's infused and excited because we're covering And the Children Shall Lead.
Oh my fucking God, kill me now.
Which is a riff on Isaiah 11:6.
Is it?
Yes, the wolf shall live with the lamb, the leopard shall lie down with the kid, the calf and the lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. Written by Edward J. Lasko, his only script for the series, I can't think why.
Oh, I wonder why that is.
And directed by Marvin Chomsky, cousin of Noam Chomsky.
Oh, really?
Yes, one of three.
One of three cousins of Noam Chomsky?
No, as in first of 3 episodes.
Okay.
Yes, this is the second of 3, because he also directed Ilan of Troyes. The direction wasn't to blame for that, though.
No.
Don't think it is for this either. Well,
No, it's the fucking writing.
The writing is appalling. But anyway, go for it, B.
God. I mean, I spent most of the time shouting at the telly, shoot the fucking children. Anyway.
I have been instructed to place you and Mr. Spock under arrest.
Hail, hail, fire and snow, call of the angels, we will go far away, for to see, friendly angel, come to me.
Captains, stay away from the controls. If you touch them, we'll be destroyed. When did we change course?
I haven't changed.
Ring around the rosy.
So long as the children are present, there is danger.
We'll have to kill them.
The enemy have discovered our operation. They must be annihilated.
Go away or we'll kill you.
Busy.
Losing command. Losing the Enterprise.
Death to you all.
Captain, what's the Enterprise?
Death to you all.
It starts off where they beam down to a planet with loads of dead people, except one of them gets up and then collapses and is dead again or something.
Yes.
He was supposed to recognise Kirk but didn't, but he was a bit dead.
Yes, that will stop you.
Then there's marks on a woman or powder or something, and that means it's suicide. They play back the tapes, as they call them, silly little bits of plastic, through the tricorder, and the main dude,
Professor Starnes
is saying they must destroy themselves because of the enemy within. So far, so intriguing. Fucking annoying children appear. They then sing Ring a Ring a Roses, wrong.
Right, okay, yes, that's the colonial version of Ring a Ring of Roses.
Well, it's wrong.
Yeah, well, it's not the same as ours, certainly, but there we go. Yeah. Unsurprising that it's changed a bit, I guess. We've got Tommy Starnes, who's played by Craig Huxley, who was previously seen as Peter Kirk in Operation Annihilate. He's the guy who'd go on to invent the blaster beam as used in the motion picture.
Okay.
He's also in The Flying Nun. We've got the girl with pigtails is Mary.
She's annoying, but she's the age where she's supposed to be.
I thought she was fine, actually. Played by Pamela Ferdin, who's also in The Flying Nun, and the littlest hobo.
There's a voice that keeps on calling me down the road. That's where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend.
Yeah, I've managed to make Anne-Marie smile with that. Then the kid with the bowl cut, Steve, is played by Caesar Belli. It's his only acting role, and he went on to become a personal injury lawyer, so an even more hateful role that he played then. We've got Ray, who's the United States Asian kid. It's played by Brian Tocci, who will return in the Next Generation 4 Seasons Night Terrors as Ensign Lin, an ops officer.
Okay.
He also voices characters in 3 episodes of Avatar The Last Airbender,
Okay.
along with a lot of cartoon work, and he's in Police Academies 3 and 4. Wow. He's certainly got the longest career in acting of all the kids. We've got Don, who's the African-American lad, Mark Robert Brown, who cropped up in an episode of The Crosby Show, which was enough to kill his career, unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
Great stuff. But as I say, it's not the kids that are a problem.
No. So after your teaser, they're burying the adults. And then there's this really crap United Federation of Planets flag.
It's
It looks like some kind
appalling.
of sports team thing, doesn't
It's
it?
terrible.
It looks like you're just waving it and shout Blurns ball or something.
Yeah, I'm glad they replaced it with the star map one, which is a far better symbol for the Federation.
McCoy is commenting that the children aren't showing any fear or grief, and he posits that it's suppressed, some form of amnesia as a sort of...
Lacuna amnesia. Hakuna Matata.
Yeah.
It is a medical thing, apparently.
Yes, no...
Memory gaps due to stress.
Yeah, and he's saying you can't force them to face the trauma. The children get sent up to the ship with the doctor. Spock queries what outside force induced this mass suicide, and the children were clearly exempted, and was that deliberate? He then detects a disturbance in the cave, and he's
I
not...
thought it was saying disturbance of the force.
Ugh.
Wrong show.
He's not sure what it is. It's not a humanoid life form, but it's a very strange reading, and at the same time Kirk starts becoming anxious, but in a very specific spot, and he wants to know how the tricorder is reacting to anxiety exactly. Meanwhile, Nurse Chapel is giving the children those funny replicator card things for them to have ice cream.
In the Arboretum. This is the first time we've seen this. The set was actually built for Ilana Troyes, but those scenes were cut.
Oh, okay.
It's not a bad little set, and we are getting to see more of the Enterprise in this third season, so there's that for it.
I like the idea you can put a card in a slot and get ice cream.
Yeah.
And then Kirk again is talking about questioning the children, but McCoy again is counselling against it on the grounds of their health. But, it's understandable that Kirk's like, look, worse could await them if we can't find out what happened. And then you get the children saying that parents like stupid things, and Chapel's like, well, parents like children, and then it's like, oh, that's what you think.
Yeah.
And then just as they start sort of to get the children to think, oldest Ginger Jake, I'm calling him Ginger Jake, by the way, because he wears a bus seat onesie. Yeah, Ginger Jake starts up with busy, 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 which is kind of reminds me of what our kids used to say when they were at the really annoying stage. You'd ask them to do something and you'd get, I'm busy.
Yeah.
Makes you want to clout them all already. And then Kirk tries to reason with Ginger Jake, but interestingly gets the response that the parents were always busy. And so it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And so he lets the eldest go, but he asks for a guard on the children, which makes sense. The children then do a really annoying dance and summon a demon. They call him the friendly angel, but they've basically summoned a demon.
Yeah, he's played... Later on he gets the name Gorgon. Kirk comes up with it. Apparently there was a cut scene where it was explained what the name was, but anyway. Played by Melvin Belly.
See, I thought it was Gordon.
No, it's Gorgon.
Gordon is a moron. Gordon is a moron. Gordon is a moron.
Well, he's certainly not an actor anyway.
No.
He was actually a lawyer who famously represented Lee Harvey Oswald and the Rolling Stones.
Wow.
He also investigated the Zodiac case, and his part in that was played by Brian Cox in the film of the same name. Walter Koenig objected to the fact that they were hiring non-actors to act, which is understandable because he's appalling in this.
Well, the thing
the
is...
kids are better than he is.
Yeah, Shatner is better than he is.
Well, yes.
That's, it's not good. I mean...
They tried to cover up a bit by treating his voice and making him glow green. Yeah. But yeah, when it comes to stunt casting, this is not exactly up there with Ken Dodd or Richard Bryars.
Or Kylie Minogue in Doctor Who.
Or, yes, newer Who, yes. Mm. Oh, and he's wearing a floral muumuu for some reason.
Oh, I don't know why. He's not an ancient of muumuu.
No. Twat.
Yes. But basically he says that they'll defeat their enemies and then there'll be no one to tell them where to go or when to sleep. And it says that they must control the ship and they know that the way to do that is through the crew. Then Spock appears and he's got Professor Starnes' tapes and he
make it sound like he's found his EastEnders video collection or something, but
yeah,
no,
or his mixtape.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, Spock's created a mixtape because he says that these are the best bits and some of it is him just giving logs, and then he says, he does have some theories later on. But just as it's beginning to get to the point where he might give the theory, Ginger Jake appears and fudges the tape.
He fists it, yeah.
and asks to go to Marcus 12. And then he stands between Sulu and Chekhov and does the stupid fisty hand thump bollocky thing.
The worst thing about that is the musical sting, which you get every time. It gets so annoying. Stop it! It's
But
annoying.
also the idea that a child just making that gesture can control people's just...
It is kind of weird space magic for Trek, isn't it? I mean, ultimately, I suppose the argument is always yet another, godlike alien who's given them these powers, but it does come across as magic, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, maybe they couldn't afford it, but it felt to me like there ought to be some kind of overlaid effect reflecting the alien magic. Because all you've got is him shaking a fist. It's just not... Do you know what I mean? It doesn't do anything. So then, now this bit I like. Later on, what happens when they do the stupid fist bollocks, I hate it, but... Here it makes sense. It's acting as a delusion, so it's making them see something different on the screen, making them think they haven't moved when they've moved. That I don't mind. It's later on when you get the threats in inverted commas, which I think that's your part. I'll come on to my reasons why that's all fucking gobshite. And then Uhura goes to question it, and he does the stupid fist bump thing again, and Uhura sees the same. Scotty sees the truth down in engineering.
Yeah, but he's temporarily immune to the fisting. It's only later on that he succumbs. I don't quite know what... There's no explanation for that.
Well, there isn't an explanation, but if they'd done the effect that I was suggesting they did, you could have got one, because I think he's out of line of sight of the kid.
Uh-huh.
And if they had an effect with the magic, you would see that the magic wasn't reaching him.
Uh-huh.
I think that's what they needed, some kind of greeny, glowy something that would show that this isn't the children, this is the alien using the children as a vessel. Because that's what I think is supposed to be going on. That's what I think was originally written in the script, and it's not very well realised on screen. I mean, the script's just annoying shite, but that particular aspect I don't think is the fault of the scriptwriter. I think it's the fault of... Who is it who decides how things are realised when it comes to effects?
Well,
is
it's
that
probably
the producer?
Or the director.
Depending on whether or not the director got shot down, if he asked for an effect and there wasn't a budget for it.
Yes, if there was no budget for it, I guess, just a kid whacking its fist is a lot cheaper, isn't it? So that might be the reason.
But I think that's what it is.
In which case you can blame Fred Freiberg, as you can for many, many things.
But I think that's why Scotty is immune. He's out of line of sight. And if we had an effect to reflect that, you'd understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, there's then a fight.
Yeah. Well, at least there's something happening.
I've got no more notes. I gave up.
Okay, well, the
drinking.
Triumphant Watch stars his last video, which shows him worrying that he's been influenced into calling Starfleet for a starship. A little late in the day, they start to realise the super creepy children may be involved in the colony's downfall, albeit it's under an outside influence. Apparently there are legends about abandoned marauders who operated out of Triakis, who were destroyed by the peoples they preyed on.
That sounds good.
Yeah, again, Spock's done a bit of
uprising.
cheeky space Google, hasn't he? He reports there is a legend the evil may return, but then acts surprised when Kirk takes it seriously. McCoy is still worried about the children bottling up their grief, which is very dutiful of him.
Yeah.
Kirk is rightly more worried about the safety of his ship and crew. Now, at this point, McCoy disappears for nearly the rest of the episode. He doesn't turn up again until the end, which is really weird.
Was he otherwise engaged?
Well, I don't know. No explanations given. Captain sends down one security detachment to the planet, but can't beat them up because, well, they're not orbiting Triakis, and the men he beamed are lost in space.
I was going to say, where did they go?
Yeah, just into space.
Gosh, but... Oh.
You'd think there'd be, some
there
sort
must
of...
be sensors or warnings.
Exactly, it's some
yeah.
sort of safety overload thing, but no, apparently not. You can just beam people into space willy-nilly.
Or maybe he didn't realise, and there is a safety thing, but it doesn't say anything, and he just beamed them into a cargo bay, and they're fine.
I don't think so, darling.
Oh.
When hailed, Sulu still claims they're orbiting the planet, and the kids summon Gorgon as Kirk arrives on the bridge for a very long and boring scene. He tells them to use the adults' fears against them. Kirk orders Sulu to change course, but after some fisting from Tommy, he sees swords and daggers on the screen. Not very realistic swords and daggers, it has to be said.
And this is one of the things that's just so rubbish. They're just swirling in a circle like some kind of fucking company logo. Why is that threatening?
I don't know, and you see it so many times.
But also...
It's boring.
Like...
And they don't even bother the remastered one really just remasters the planet shots from orbit. That's all they do. So they don't remaster this dagger business, which, to be honest, could have done with something better.
But you've got this, and you've got what happens to Uhura, and Uhura is like, oh no, I'm not pretty anymore because she's a woman, and he gets all Asian daggers.
Well, to be fair, she says she's dying, which is a little more serious.
Yeah, but
You're understandably worried about that.
even so, they give her a mirror that wasn't there
before, and isn't there afterwards either. So it's a magic mirror.
So it's all about her appearance. And then it's all Mr. Asian Dagger Man. It's just like, fuck off.
Yeah. Even Spock is affected, questioning why they're bothering Starfleet and seeing nothing wrong. Mr. Leslie hears the captain talking backwards. When you reverse the audio, it's just Kirk giving orders for his affected crew to be taken to their quarters, which is a shame because he could have sworn up a storm and no one would have known.
Or he could have, said something really ridiculous.
Yep.
Or spouted some kind of conspiracy theory.
Predictably, when Kirk gets fisted, he just ends up shacting about losing the Enterprise.
God, this is awful.
Yeah. Having regained some self-control, Spock gets him off the bridge, enabling Kirk to recover as well. They head for auxiliary control, but Scotty has now succumbed to Dom's fisting. There's a scuffle, but Kirk and Spock are outnumbered and have to flee. They consider having to kill the children. Again, why not just stun them? That would be an easier halfway house, wouldn't it? But they haven't got a phaser on them, to be fair.
Yeah,
but then
or
Chekhov
just tie
turns
their arms up so they can't do the
Chekhov then
stupid
turns up with a security detachment to arrest the senior officers. There's another scuffle, and Spock ends up with a golden opportunity to stun Tommy with Chekhov's phaser, but he doesn't.
No. He doesn't even use Chekhov's gun.
No. Wow. Kirk's cunning plan is to confront Tommy and Mary on the bridge. Again, bring the phaser with you, stun them. But no. And for some reason, the kids don't fist him at this point. The captain accuses Gorgon of being afraid to show himself. Spock replays the children's chant to summon the green glowing dauber. I mean, it's near enough magic, isn't it? Gorgon accuses them of being too full of goodness, which is weird. Kirk shows the kids pictures of them playing on Trackers with their parents for ages.
Yeah.
So much padding in this episode. And it finishes with their dead parents, which the kids already know about. I mean, literally just 5 minutes ago they were there, but they weren't bothered that their parents were dead. But suddenly now they are.
I think they weren't processing it. Because
Well, this is the bit that McCoy needed to have done something medical.
Yeah.
So the kids then, but McCoy's written out the episode, which is annoying. So now, for no good reason, they're upset about their parents dying, having received massive doses of whatever it is they give out to us to make them cry, because they really are blubbing all over the place. Hopefully it wasn't onions rubbed in their faces.
Well, sometimes with children, you tell them something really sad and they just burst into tears, like you tell them about a cat dying or something.
Mm-hmm. With their lack of belief in him gone, Gorgon now gets covered in the scars because evil is ugly. Oh dear. I mean, it was a common trope for the time, but... the Gorgon disappears, the crew are restored, McCoy finally turns up. He's happy the kids are crying for medical reasons, one hopes.
Yeah.
And leads them off the bridge for mint juleps or something. I don't know.
I don't fucking know. I mean...
Now, can you guess whether Amory thinks this was classic or toss? Can you? Answers on a postcard. But there are no prizes. For obvious reasons.
It's fucking shite.
Yeah.
I mean, there are shite episodes that are just, you're like, oh, why am I watching this? Like, that crap, not a Star Trek episode. What was it we tried to watch with Nick Cage in at the weekend?
There were two we tried to watch and bailed on. But Jiu-Jitsu, which Quinn is convinced that you're going to finish watching.
No, it's the other one Quinn is convinced we're going to finish watching.
Oh,
Not Jiu-Jitsu, the Russian one.
Yeah, okay.
It was intriguing, so it might have... But no, Jiu-Jitsu one didn't have any fucking Jiu-Jitsu in it. Now, that was crap, but it didn't make me shout. It didn't make me angry. So the children are really irritating. Now, I'm guessing they're supposed to be, but their magic, in inverted commas, doesn't make any fucking sense.
What's irritating about them, again, it isn't their acting, it's the constant fisting with the same musical sting. That is just... And there is so much repetitiveness in this episode.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you didn't have 45, 50 minutes, did you? You had half an hour tops.
But I think the other reason I find them so annoying is because they shouldn't be winning. And if there was an effect that showed some kind of magic, it would be easier. But you're just expected to believe that the crew can just let these kids run rings around them all the time. Now, I know all enterprises let children go anywhere, including engineering. It's stupid. But it's just that...
And actually, in this, at least, Kirk gets Mr. Leslie to keep an eye on Tommy on the bridge. Not that helps.
No, but it's just... So the musical sting thing is annoying. And the children are annoying, I think, because nobody's disciplining them.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that somehow people can't and children can just override them is just
And what's
bollocks.
more annoying is this is just our godlike alien trope yet again.
Yet again.
This was done better in Charlie X, for just to plot one example out there.
Yeah. So it's
And the guy playing the alien can't act because,
he's
not an
actor.
actor.
You know, it's sexist with Uhura. It's racist with Sulu. It's also, it's not his fault, but that older kid with the ginger Jake, like, the outfit offended my fucking eyes in a way that none of the others did in quite the same way.
No.
It's just awful. It's just shocking writing with fucking irritating children, with badly explained plot, sexism and racism, and shacting in a fucking lift.
Shacting in a lift.
Also, Spock should not be affected. It should be written in the ways it sometimes
I
was.
kind of found that refreshing because so many times he isn't. So at least in this one he was.
No, well, again, if you'd seen some kind of alien power, that would make sense. Just the
and
idea
at one point he kind of does like a discipline thing with his hand to his... I like that, and I bet that was Nimoy.
Oh yeah, going fuck the fuck off. Spock's not being affected by this. Because again, without some kind of effect to show alien magic, it just seems like Spock is unduly influenced by children, which is just fucking bollocks. What they actually needed is what some of the stories do have, which is taking Spock out of the equation. But oh my fucking god, it was just one of the most annoying, badly written episodes I've ever watched. It's not the most offensive, although it does contain offensive aspects.
Yeah, but it's not as full on as some of the other episodes.
But no, but it's not the most offensive, but it's the most annoying.
Certainly the most boring.
No, it wasn't just boring. It made me angry. It was one of the most annoying things of anything I have ever watched in my life. Mosquitoes biting your arse are more fun than watching this fucking gobshite.
There you go. Well, let's find out what other people thought. Jeff Hyman says a certified stinker.
Yep.
But an entertaining one for me.
Oh, God. What's wrong with you?
It's especially hard to take the episode seriously when the big bad is a lawyer who came straight from the barbershop. Okay. Boss has this to say. This is the one I've been looking forward to, as it has the lowest ranking on IMDb for all the original series.
Yeah, that works for me. Yeah.
5.2, although that's still better than the all-time Star Trek record of 3.8 for Next Generation Shades of Grey. Yeah, well, Shades of Grey was a clip show, let's face it. Considering some of the rubbish we've seen so far, how bad can this be? The answer is not as bad as I was expecting. Yes, the children are annoying, and Shatner gives another over-the-top performance, but the story itself is an intriguing mystery. Okay, I'm not sure there's much mystery there. You know from the beginning what's going on, don't you? It's like a sci-fi version of Henry James's The Turn of the Screw, except instead of ghosts, the children are being controlled by an alien presence. There are plenty of plot holes. I didn't really understand how Kirk and Spock managed to go from being controlled to not being controlled so easily, perhaps just because they are the stars of the show. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about the ending. It seemed very harsh to make the children cry and bring them back into reality so abruptly, but the link to the alien in the weird costume had to be broken somehow. I'm not sure how else they could have done it. Well, you know, McCoy using some medical skills would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So not a great episode, but definitely not the worst we've seen. P.S. Do you think the writer had just had a beer in a Chinese restaurant before naming the character of Sing Tao? I don't know. Is the honest answer to that one? Yeah. Wow, that was rather more positive than I was expecting.
Yeah. God, I don't know what you saw in it.
Well, let's find out what Sampo and Yona thought.
Hello.
Hello.
So we just watched And the Children Shall Lead.
What happened in it?
A bunch of kids fisting.
No. No.
Okay.
No.
Bunch of kids wanking. Okay, a bunch of kids being traumatized for life, and most likely at least half of them will grow up to be serial killers. But anyway.
Yeah.
One thing we should mention, I mean, our youngest son, he's 9 years old, and he sometimes comes and watches these things. He usually watches for like 5-10 minutes and wanders off. This time he was glued to the screen from start to finish. This was like the most exciting episode ever.
Whenever the fist pumping started, he was like, no, no, no.
Yes, no, it's the aliens. They got. I mean, I guess it's the kids and he could relate. But actually, it wasn't that bad. It had a pretty eerie atmosphere, which was. I know it's just again an episode where an all-powerful alien takes over the Enterprise, but this time it was done in a sort of creepy way, which made it different.
A bit like Children of the Corn.
Yeah, something like that. Whenever the guy in the big fur coat turned up, those were the lowest points because that sort of.
I think it's a clever technology using a poem as a phone number, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
The children were moving when they were doing that, but then when Kirk just played the tape, he came anyway. And then when he was in the same room with the crew and the children, and yet he reveled his cunning plan anyway.
Yeah, well, at that point, I think everyone was under his control more or less. So
Except Kirk.
yeah, but he'd left the room at that point.
Oh yeah.
Everything wasn't logical, but on the other hand, it doesn't matter because everyone was more or less under the effect of the whatever hypnosis it was. So
Fistopness.
Exactly. I don't mind if people weren't acting logically. About logic, I mean they just beamed the two poor people into space.
For a moment there, I thought they would toss the children to the space.
To be fair, I think they were more than they should have been a bit more strict on their children, but I understand their parents had just died and they thought they were having some sort of post-traumatic stress reaction or something.
Yes. I guess the episode had a subtext about how important it is to cry.
That was McCoy comes in. They're crying great.
What do you think they threatened the children with in real life to make them cry so hard?
Well, the tears didn't look that convincing, if we're being honest.
How about the hurrahs then?
Well, of course, they had the one woman that they had to sort of go for her looks. Well,
and what did they do to the makeup? That was just so crappy.
Yeah.
She looked like a giant turd, like this Christmas poo.
Howdy-ho! Yeah.
I'd cry if I'd look like Christmas poo too.
That's one thing I did like, that they weren't exactly under the aliens' control. I mean, they were all sort of acting logically inside their own little bubble. I mean, Chekhov was sort of following orders. Sulu was afraid of the space knives. So many space knives.
Yeah, the fisting seemed to affect differently on all of them.
Okay, again, it seems that Spock and Kirk were the only ones who, in the end, weren't affected by it. I guess they just because of their strength of their brain, I guess.
I guess.
There really wasn't any other explanation given, so a bit annoying, but well, what can you do? He's the hero. I don't know, was it because of our captivated audience here, but I think this was a pretty alright episode. It was creepy and the ending was, well, as happy as it could be with all the dead parents.
Yeah, that was grim. And
bit of
maybe you're right. The children's future might not be so bright.
Yeah, they're living in the utopia of the Federation, so I'm sure they'll get all the help they need. Yeah. Okay, well, until next week then, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. I mean, you say that the children's crying wasn't that convincing. I mean, it's way more convincing than Nana Visitor was in the episode we watched of Deep Space Nine where Kaya Packer died.
Yes, I'd forgotten how bad that was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether they've put something in their eyes or...
Yeah, they've got those little sticks, haven't they, that they rub in.
But it was still way more convincing.
And it was more convincing than bloody Gorgon. So.
Yeah, more convincing than any of the fucking shacting as well.
Yeah. It's interesting it works for 7-year-olds. I'm not sure that's a great,
Yeah, I'm not sure it's the best review in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. I thought that at the time. How come he was summoned without the dance?
Yeah, apparently the dance was superfluous. So
Ah.
there you go. Yeah, and that subtext about children needing to grieve was tacked on. Really,
Yeah.
It wasn't nothing done with it. So
No, I mean it's not wrong, but it did feel fucking shoehorned in.
yeah, man. Okay, well, people generally liking it more than we are so far. Let's find out what the Llama God thought.
Onwards, Lark, Scotty, Fixie Care, Och, Fixie Shack. Hello. Now, after last week's rather brilliant Romulan-centric episode, the question here is, are we going to maintain this upward trajectory of quality here on Star Trek Season 3? And the answer is, not really. Now, I know a lot of people are not going to like this episode. I know a lot of people are going to be put off by it because it features children, and, let's face it, I'm with JMS on this and most things, that putting children into a TV show doesn't always make it better. But I didn't find this one too bad, actually. Maybe it was the mood I was in when I watched it. Maybe I was just in the right frame of mind, but I didn't hate this one as much as I was expecting to, and actually thought, it's alright, actually. I mean, yeah, sure, the bare bones of the episode is, again, it's very Star Trek cliche by this point, and we're only 2 and a bit years into the TV series, but here we go, it is cliche, with an advanced civilization pretending to be a godlike force, making people do things against their will. In this case, it's children, but yeah, these are components we've seen a lot before, but I think it's done well in this episode. The whole central idea is very morbid, very grim, very dark. The children being so oblivious and being complicit in their own parents' suicides, the way the parents are driven to suicide, yeah, that's all really, really grim, and it isn't played for laugh at all. There is an undercurrent of what has happened here. This is all a bit wrong, and it's good they don't try and play it with any lightheartedness. Now, the kids themselves aren't actually that annoying. Now, I guess I can see why people might think they are, but especially with some of them, the way they misbehave, they don't do what they're told, rather sulky grimaces. It's like, yeah, I've got a 4-year-old right now, so that looks exactly normal to me, exactly right. There's nothing weird about the performances here at all. Yeah, I can see the Scrapper being like this completely. Hopefully he's not in the thought of some sort of unconvincing space angel wearing a shower curtain. But yeah, I didn't find him too bad, actually. It was just the right side of unnerving. Again, the use of the nursery rhyme to summon the angel could be grating. I can see why that would be grating for people, but for me, it feels more like a sort of folk horror kind of thing where there's the chanting that summons the evil eldritch forces, and again, it kind of works for me, so I didn't mind that so much. I didn't mind it. And in general, the Enterprise crew, and Kirk particularly, tries to be, relatively for the time, they try to be relatively kind and gentle with the children. I mean, I know they need their answers, and as things escalate, they become less gentle. That's kind of understandable. The Enterprise crew kind of handles things well, so yeah, I generally didn't have a problem with it. Obviously, there's a couple of issues here. The main one is when the Enterprise crew get shown all their fears. Obviously, for her, because she's the young pretty one, her fear is becoming old. I know we actually touched upon this in previous episodes. I can't remember which one it was now, but her greatest fear was becoming old, and so yeah, here we have it again, because she's a woman. That's the thing a woman fears the most. Although Strange New Worlds does kind of help with this one, because actually one of her lines is her fear is of dying a slow death, and obviously because as we learn in Strange New Worlds, the loss of her family when she was younger does give her a lot of issues around death, so you could read this as her being not so much afraid of being old and wrinkly, but afraid of being close to death. And for that moment, that horrifying moment, being put off for a very long time because it's a slow and gradual death, I can kind of see that, and that is a bit horrifying. But maybe I'm just being a little bit too kind to the original series writers at this point. Sulu's fear, on the other hand, is just hilarious. He's afraid of giant space knives. I mean, that's, I guess that's a thing to be scared of, isn't it? Yeah, you're flying a starship, big knives out of nowhere. But that's a very, very strange space fear. But anyway, never mind. But on the whole, it's done really well. And the episode doesn't end with a cheesy joke as well, with McCoy just gently taking the kids off where they're going to hopefully get some sort of trauma counselling. One of the interesting parts of the episode, of course, is that we see different parts of the Enterprise. We've seen the auxiliary control room a few times before, but we see the Enterprise's recreation room here, I guess, sort of garden area where the kids are getting ice cream. I mean, that's a part of the Enterprise we haven't seen before, so despite the budget being lower and despite it not being the most impressive set in the world, it's just nice to see a different part of the Enterprise, so that's kind of good. So yeah, as I say, not a bad episode. Not by any means as good as last week's episode, but I was entertained by this one, and maybe it's because I was expecting to be really put off by it that I like it more than I was expecting to, because it really wasn't as bad as I thought it could have been. So yeah, so as ever, and especially in this case, I'm looking forward to finding out what everyone else made of this episode. I hope everybody's ready for things not being back to normal, actually being more normal than they've ever been. And until next time, glory to you and your cast.
Bye, thank you. Yeah, I suppose they were going for a folk horror, but for me it just didn't work.
But the problem is, when your evil eldritch force is a dude who can't act in a muumuu, that does undermine your story completely. I mean, if they got a decent actor in and didn't have the muumuu, it would have been probably okay, but he just, every time he opens his mouth, you're like cringing. Awful.
Yeah, it is awful.
And he's doing all blinking and all the face acting that people think they should do to make them look good on screen. And it's like, no, that's not how you act.
No. And I don't think you can say that because of Strange New Worlds you could read into this that she's got a fear of a slow death. No. What Uhura, as communications officer and a multi-linguist, would fear more than anything, is being totally unable to communicate. So if they were going to use the mirror, an image of, like, say, her mouth being completely sewn up so she can't speak might have worked, or an image of her in a coma with loads of machines bleeping and she's still alive and aware and can't communicate with anybody, that would work. But this is supposed to be, oh my God, she's a woman, she must fear looking.
Well, again, the dialogue suggests that it's her fear of death, which is fair enough, and as he says, fits in with Stranger Worlds. But all the visuals are saying, oh no, she looks less than pretty, therefore she's upset.
Yeah, because they focus at one point on the contrast between her hands and her nails now, and her hands and her nails then. So yeah, no, it's...
And you're right, the Sulu knife thing is just so weird. It's just, random knives in space, oh no! They should have thrown in some forks and spoons as well. He's got a phobia of cutlery. That's what it's all about. Yeah, see, you never seen him eating with a knife and fork. That's what it is.
What, do you think because he uses chopsticks, so it'd still manage to be racist if they did that?
Yeah, that's true enough, actually, yes. No, I was thinking more that he just had a general cutlery phobia. There's got to be a name for that, but anyway.
Okay, I'm now Googling cutlery phobia.
Whilst you do that, we'll listen to what Tracy thought. Heavens, he's going to call this a classic, isn't he? Oh my.
Hello, and here is our feedback for And the Children Shall Lead.
And what do we think of that one then?
It's not crap, but it's also not that great.
I didn't have too many issues with it, but I think it's the first time I've seen it, so...
Yeah, it's not the best.
You're not going to say it's a classic?
It's not a classic.
Okay, let's go through some points.
Okay.
So they beam down to Tracus.
Triacus,
yeah.
I don't know, yeah.
And all the adults are dead.
Yes. It's a good beginning.
And the kids are just oblivious to the fact that their parents are just lying there. I mean, obviously you learn later why, but it just started off really weird.
It's a bit creepy. Yes, so the kids are taking over the Enterprise, aren't they?
Yeah.
I just all the time, I'm just like, so obviously they can see him doing like the hand gesture things.
Yeah.
Why don't they just phase the kids? And Kirk says at one point we might have to kill the kids.
Yeah.
Why not stun them, and you're sorted, aren't you?
There was a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas in this episode. Like, I didn't quite understand why they were able to, like, mind control like all of them apart from Kirk.
Well, they did it at the end, didn't they?
Yeah. But it just took a long time.
Oh, because he's Captain Kirk. He's got William Shatner.
Went into complete Shacting overdrive, didn't he?
Yes, Tommy made him Shact, didn't he?
Did, yes,
with his
definitely.
hand movements. We liked the bit when Kirk was talking backwards to Lieutenant Leslie. It's hilarious, isn't it?
That was funny. But we have to talk about when they summon the
angel.
Well, I call him the Wizard of Oz because he was green and he was just like...
Yeah, little like cross between the Wizard of Oz and a Christmas tree.
Yeah, that was weird. And then he just starts melting at the end.
I know.
It's just bonkers.
Leonard Nimoy looks like he's just phoning it in. Did you notice in this? He's just like really... I know obviously because he's Spock he doesn't do much like emotion, but he's just like really not acting that much in this at all. He'd read the script and he's just like, that's crap.
But I just don't understand why Spock was susceptible to their mind warblings, because you'd think that he just wouldn't. He's never normally overcome by such.
Well,
such
I don't know,
things.
but he does like break out of it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he breaks himself out of it. So I don't understand why he doesn't do something to kind of break others out of it. I mean, surely if he went up and kind of touched the boras and does what he does not,
I don't know. Reading
anything.
too much into it.
Maybe. And I have this issue all the time. So when they were talking about, is it Crackus?
I think
the
so,
captain of like the other whoever they were.
I don't know. Yeah.
Who was videoing him while he was doing his captain's
Yes,
vlog?
when he's holding the tricorder and like talking into it, but there's someone else videoing it.
Where is that? I don't get that.
Know. Yeah, so I think this is not as bad as I was remembering it, but it's not great. There's no two ways about it. It's not a good episode.
Yeah, I think I might have seen this one before because I do remember the bit where she's melting.
Ahura.
Ahura. She's like, I see myself really old. I've seen that bit before, but none of the rest of it was familiar.
Nope.
But I didn't mind it.
I wouldn't say it's the best.
It was all right. Well, obviously it's not the best, but I didn't mind it.
Okie dokie. Well, let's leave
it
there. Yep.
All right. See you later, guys.
Bye.
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 Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of shoulda, coulda, woulda in this.
Phaser the kids.
Phaser them, stun them, or just kick their legs out from under them, or tie their hands up. Put boxing gloves on them, I don't know. And yes, you're right. He does look like the demon thing they summon does look like a cross between the Wizard of Oz and a Christmas tree. I think
Wizard of Oz from Wish.com. I've got
yeah.
Mind warbling. There's a phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't that an episode of Doctor Who?
But Spock should not have been affected by it. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and you're right. Leonard Nimoy doesn't look like he wants to be in this one.
No, he doesn't. He's
understandably
properly phoning it in, and I don't bloody blame him.
But I think the tricorder thing, we have GoPros now. You know, they've obviously got some sort of Bluetooth connection to a camera.
Yeah, or there's a drone behind him.
Yeah. I don't think that's the greatest problem with the episode.
No. But when an episode's bad, you notice things like that in a way that you don't notice them when an episode is good.
Yeah.
So there isn't a specific phobia of cutlery, although logically there is I can't call it a phobia of knives. I think it's normal to be scared of knives.
Yeah, same people are scared of knives.
Yeah. So, but there is a fear of spoons. I don't know quite how you pronounce this. I think it's Kautaliophobia.
Sounds Vulcan.
K-O-U.
Ironically.
Yeah, it does. K-O-U-T-A-L-I-A phobia. Kautaliophobia.
And why are you worried about spoons?
I don't know. That's why it's a phobia. It's not logical.
Oh, okay. Thanks for that. Let's find out what Purry thought.
Hello, Args. Purry here to talk about And the Children Shall Lead. Now, I think, like Anne-Marie seemed, I was not looking forward to this one. I remember the kids being quite punchable. And yeah, just in general, a lot of them wandering around shaking their daft hands. To be fair, memory was unkind to this one. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not going to go that far. But the kids weren't quite as irritating. There wasn't quite as much running around saying busy and that sort of thing. You know, they were a bit less kiddie. And I think what I look at this now is a bit of a wasted opportunity, because you can tell there were a couple of things that they were trying to do, and whether they were knocked out by Shatner wanting too much to do, there's a lot of bits. Why is he talking to the kids? McCoy's the psychiatrist. I don't know why he's doing it. Again, hell, he could have given Chapel something to do, but Heaven forfend to give a female cast member something to do. But, you know, there weren't like a lot of weird things like that. You know, it was quite slow, so it's not exciting. But the actual concept, so initially, for starters, you could go with the slight creepiness of the kids literally playing around the corpses of their parents. You know, come on, there's something off about that. But you could also add in a bit about trauma. Now, I know they weren't that big on it, but McCoy does a little on look, these kids are traumatized. They possibly don't understand what's happening, and it might be dangerous for you to go poking too much. And actually, to be honest, I'd have liked more McCoy in this. I think I've said he kind of gets written out after the initial bit. He goes off and has a sleep in his office for the rest of the episode. You do have, you know, so that's part of it. I think we could have had a bit about trauma and that sort of thing. That could have been an initial suspicion, and indeed that could have been why things are allowed to escalate, because everyone's treating the kids with, if you'll pardon the pun, kid gloves. And, you know, that's why they're allowed everywhere, but you don't really get that. The kids are instantly creepy. And I can't help but feel there's a good few occasions where the kids seem to be having to, you know, work to control the crew once they start taking over the ship. And, you know, if Kirk had just punched out a couple of the kids, I reckon they'd have been free. Now, I don't normally advocate punching kids, but in this case, I reckon it would have shortened the episodes. And that's where it kind of falls down. The control of the crew sort of works, but also sort of doesn't. I mean, like, when Spock and Kirk beat Chekhov and his couple of security guys, they just meekly plod off to security. I'd have preferred it. Kirk obviously just gets better. I think a mind meld or something in there would have really helped, rather than Kirk just, I've defeated my demons now, I'm fine. Like I say, it's all bits like that don't work. How they disable some of the crew, like, does Sulu have to be flying through a tunnel of knives? Again, you know, surely, I think, could they not have done something else, like an energy field or something? And, you know, Uhura obviously seeing herself being old is traumatizing enough. Now, they did kind of go a bit with death decay, but we've not who are having stuff to do in ages, and you give her this. That apparently she can't function if she doesn't think she's pretty. That sort of stuff really bugs me. And I also thought there was something they could have almost been doing a thing on fascism. There's a bit when they finally Kirk starts questioning the big blobby bloke. It's about he's saying, your kindness, and your niceness will be your undoing. You might be strong, but your kindness will stop you. And I thought they could have really done something about how fascists latch on to the ideas of strength and power and offering that to people in order to further their gains. And that Kirk eventually says, look at him, he's ridiculous. And sadly his face goes wonky rather than just saying, look at him, he's ridiculous. Look what he's wearing. He's wearing something that's probably made out of his mum's curtains. And you think that's powerful, and that sort of idea. But that's all a bit half-baked. So, this isn't awful, but it's by nowhere near good. That's this episode. That's possibly a good review in some parts of Season 3. So, all that remains me to say is do keep up the good work. I also look forward to the podcast, and we'll hopefully feedback in the next one. But until then, bye for now.
Bye!
So, you've got kids playing around the corpses of their parents. The kids should all have been punched. Kirk just gets better. The kids taking over is far too easy. What the fuck is going on with all the random knives? And Uhura is just, oh no, I'm getting old. But it's not awful.
I know. And, McCoy also getting written out.
Yeah.
And actually, he would have been the illogical person to be dealing with the situation. Yeah. Yep. It is rubbish. I'm sorry. But as I say, I think my biggest problem is it's boring. There's just lots of repeated scenes. A number of times Sulu saw those knives and it's like, nothing's happening. Come on.
Whereas for me, it was really irritating and made me want to kill people.
Let's hope the next one's better, although, we're about to find out about that.
What is the next one?
Well, let's find out. Next week, the 5th of September on the Thursday, we're recording our coverage of the next Lower Decks episode, which is Empathalogical Fallacies, which is easy for me to say. And then the following week on Wednesday the 11th, we're covering Spock's brain.
Oh, okay. No,
here we go.
It's
Will it be a laugh? Will it be crap?
The last
Will
time
it be both?
The last time I watched it, I laughed. I put it in the so bad it's good category the last time I watched it.
Right, brace yourselves, folks. Let's see what we think of this one.
Yeah.
Until next time, take care. Cheerio, bye.
Bye.
The Star Trek theme was written by Alexander Courage, and here was arranged and performed by Drew Barker.
The artwork was created by Andy Palastides.
All music referenced is for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
Find our website at BorgcasTOS.libsyn.com.
And we have a YouTube channel as well.
Send emails or MP3s to borgcast@gmail.com.
Shut it down!